them over. That's going to be the big question if they're able to stay in this at all. Appreciate all of you joining us. Now that we've gone into what is probably the least competitive game of the NFL weekend, let's get to what I think could be a really competitive game of the NFL weekend, which is the New York Football Giants traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikings. This one kicks off on Sunday at 4:30 on Fox. The Giants come in 9-7-1. They rested their starters last week, getting ready for this matchup, while the Minnesota Vikings had a bit of a scare with Dalvin Cook. We'll see what his status is. They come in 13-4, winning the NFC North. The Vikings are a 3-point favorite. The over-under set at 48.5 points. Some gambling trends before we get everyone's analysis. The Giants are 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 playoff road games, while the road team is 9-4 against the spread in the last 13 meetings between the two teams. And the Vikings are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games overall. One last note on the spread. The favorite is 6-1 against the spread in the last 7 meetings between the two teams. As for the total, the over is 5-0-1 in the Giants' last 6 games on field turf, and the over is 6-1 in the Vikings' last 7 games overall. Adam, this is a matchup between Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins, 2 quarterbacks that have a lot of haters, a lot of doubters, who have actually played really well this year, especially when it comes to stats. So what are your thoughts? Which quarterback comes out? Is it Daniel Jones or is it Kirk Cousins?
Well, we got a glimpse of this matchup a few weeks ago when the Giants traveled to Minnesota, and Minnesota won 27-24. Like you mentioned, Brian Dable rested his starters, which I'm not sure how it's even possible because Brandon Staley said he didn't have enough players in his roster to do that. So Dable must be some sort of magician to do that. But what he did was he got Barkley fresh legs for this game, and he got Jones ready to go as well, too. Barkley was 14 for 84 and a touchdown when they met last, and Jones did throw the ball for 334 yards through the air, a touchdown, but did throw a pick. So I think this is a good matchup against this really bad Minnesota defense. The defense of the Giants is somewhat suspect at times, but they've been playing a little better. And honestly, with as many guys as they sat going into Philly, they really played Philly tough. And Philly kind of got away, and they kind of clawed back into it, though. But I think that was pretty impressive for the Giants' backups to kind of hang around. Minnesota side of the ball, you mentioned it. Everyone looks at Minnesota as a fraud, and the reason why is their defense is just absolutely atrocious. 31st against the pass, 20th against the rush. They don't seem to do anything right on defense. They hemorrhage points every single week, it seems like, no matter who they're playing or if they're on the road at home. In that game against the Giants, Cousins did have a good game, though. He threw just shy of 300 yards. He threw for 299 and 3 touchdowns, and Cook had 64 yards on the ground. I look at this game as you know, a kind of a smash mouth game a little bit. The Giants are probably going to want to ball control, run the football. Minnesota's probably going to want to do some quick hitters, and if they get a lead, then try to keep their defense off the field and control the football. But what it comes down to me is you can't fix bad defense overnight. You just can't do it. This defense has been bad from week 1. It's been bad in week 18. It's bad now. And I know Minnesota is 8-1 at home, but I really like what the Giants are doing here. The over-under, as far as I'm concerned, might be a little bit too high for this game because I think there's going to be some ball control here, whether, like I mentioned, Minnesota gets the lead or if that is the Giants' game plan here. The one interesting thing to look at is as much as the public has been against Minnesota this year and as a fraud, the public actually is backing Minnesota in this game, a little bit of slight edge at 58%. The money on the spread is for Minnesota in this one. But for me, I like the Giants coming in here, resting for a week. I think Kirk Cousins, hey, 425 primetime slot. We know what kind of Kirk Cousins we get with that. But I really like the fact that the Giants can move the football on the ground here, control the clock, and I think Cousins can make a few mistakes. And I can't rely on this Minnesota defense in the playoffs. Defense wins championships, in my opinion, and you can't fix it overnight. So I really like the Jets in the money line here. You're getting a plus 140 on that right now. And as far as the over-under, I'm just going to kind of sit tight on that one. I think this is a little bit too high for me.
I heard someone refer to Kirk Cousins as a vampire because a reverse vampire because as it goes from day to night, he gets worse. I'm curious to know how that 4 p.m. kickoff, how that will affect him as well. A few notes. I'm going to give my game pick, and we'll go to Lope third on this one. A few notes for me. In their matchup a few weeks ago, Daniel Jones threw for 334 passing yards, while Cousins threw for less than 300 against the Giants defense. Vikings, second worst pass defense in the NFL. They've been atrocious. And to your point, Adam, the Giants were pretty competitive against the Eagles last week, despite playing a number of their backups. And I think Brian Daboll, again, the coaching experience isn't there on either side. So you go to maybe who's the better coach in general. I think it's Brian Daboll, since there isn't an edge in experience. I don't know if the Giants can win this game. I think they're certainly going to cover 4.5 points. If I buy the 1.5 and get them at 4.5, I really like that play right now. I think the Vikings will probably win. But that said, I think this is going to be one of the better games of the entire weekend. I think actually that this is probably going to be the second best one after Chargers Jaguars. So the Butt Fumble Sports pick for this one is Vikings on the money line, Giants to cover 4.5, and I am going to lean towards the over. I just think the Vikings defense is going to give up enough points, and the Vikings offense is going to score enough points. So that kind of gives me my outcome, and the trends kind of help me lean in that direction as well. Lope, how do you feel about this game between the Giants and Vikings?
I'm with you on the over. 6 of the Vikings' last 7 have hit the over. Their defense, as Adam pointed out, is bad, and not just giving up yards, but also points. They're 28th in scoring. Uh, I think I'm with you on Dable being the better coach, and I think that's going to be important. One thing they did against them when they played a couple weeks is they hang in there and hang in ball games. As we started this off by saying, defense wins championships and playoff games. Offense can win you games, but defense wins championships. The Giants have the better one. They're going to make life difficult for Kirk Cousins, and it's going to be up to him to not make mistakes. One thing that the Brian Daboll's teams have done pretty well is take care of the football. So I'm going to lean towards the Giants and I probably have no problem. I'm going to tag along with Adam and tail him and go with the Giants to win as well.
Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. And make sure you check out our website, buttfumblesports.com. Sign up for the free newsletter. You'll get all of my game picks, total plays, player prop bets, the gambling trends I like, and a number of the game notes that go into why I make the decisions that I do. So make sure you go to buttfumblesports.com and sign up for that free newsletter. That said, if you like watching our game pick videos, because we put out so